So we continue with our in art talk dialogue with the artist of the current exhibition in the gallery, Diego. Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you. Great to have you in the gallery and in this exhibition.
So the exhibition is Space at the Center.
That's right, yes. It's a body of work, a photographic body of work that evolves in 1994
Yes.
to 2007, and it is based on an analog camera that I customize. And how that works, it is a period, first of all, I should mention, it's a period where digital and Photoshop didn't exist. Therefore, everything was analog. You needed to physically interact with the mechanism of things to change and bring new ways of seeing. And that was my proposal to the program I was invited to be part of, which was a master's on art and architecture. And as part of this program, I started investigating the way of customizing a camera which could open up new ways of seeing, new ways of relating with the space around us. And because the mastery was in art and architecture, I was pretty much embedded in the relationship of the space, the body, and how we move and relate to that space we have constructed. And then I customized a camera.
Yes.
In which, by taking the line which divides the 35mm space of the first shot and the second, by taking the line inside the camera, which you do by disconnecting the winder with the shutter, then the films feel freely. By being free, you could join the first photograph to the second one, but also you need a very specific lenses, which should be wide angular. In this way, it diffuses the edges, and I'm able to link the first photograph to the second. So that is the proposal. But why I want to take the black line, which divides the first photograph to the second? That is because I think we have a structure in which we do our everyday choreographies. And my work as an artist is to disrupt the choreography of the everyday. And the choreography of taking a photograph is not only to follow the mechanism, but also to frame the world in a very specific space. And my idea was to open up this space and to break down that grid. But that is related with a series of experiences I had in life by living in Argentina, moving to Barcelona, and then being adopted in Britain at the time of doing my education at Goldsmiths.
Your life is quite inspiring. It's incredible. It's an artistic journey which it never ends to develop. As you were telling us all your story, which is fascinating.
That's right, it is a continuum. It is not such a division, cultural division, between one context and another. Of course, there are great differences, but in terms of experience, what makes my identity is not just one single culture, it's the relation of all these three different cultures, which comes to exist and to promote a very particular sensibility in London. So I concentrate very briefly in this photograph because I think it's interesting what I do with this camera. When I propose that to the head of the MA on art and architecture is to customize this camera, the subject matter that I will depict, which one it is. So, of course, as a foreigner, I said, well, it will be great to do the art world, the artists, the architects, which they are building the new spaces for the arts in London, the critics, the writers. And they said, wow, it's quite ambitious. I I think, well, could take 10, 11 years, which is what it took, to 12 years to construct this archival of 1,100 images. It is 12 years of work, meeting in 1994 to 2007 the artists that made the culture of London at the time. They represent, in many ways, the inner core of art in London, but also they represent Britain abroad. So I photographed them when they were extremely young. So they were goldsmiths, they were coming out of this education. That is Andrew Bright. That is Andrew Brighton. He was my tutor in art and architecture,
Yes.
and he was at the time also the head of a program of the Tate Britain. That it was in 1995 and 6. And therefore, I went to his office and I documented him as he was doing his own tasks. And here we have not only someone who was an educator, but also he was at the time developing the public program for the Tate Britain. The Tate Modern didn't exist, but also he's a critic and he's a great writer. That is an artwork that evolved from Fiona Banner. It is the first exhibition she was invited to build up at the Tate Britain.
Yes.
And so she called me and asked me to, be part of this event, and I documented with my customized camera, which, as you can see, that is her artwork, and the second photograph overlaps of herself on the artwork. So there is this interrelationship between the portraits and the artwork, the dialogue between the artist, the artwork, and the space. In this case, is the space, the critique, and the portrait. So that is really what I'm trying constantly to combine. It's a very beautiful one.
Yes.
That is Gary Hume, first exhibition at the Whitechapel Art Gallery. I believe it was in 2001, which I cannot remember all the titles, but I will check for you exactly. It's 1999.
Okay.
And it's his first solo exhibition at the Whitechapel Art Gallery.
Incredible. It's a really a glimpse of being witness of all these incredible moments. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Which is
Yes. Yes.
It's one more exciting than the other one because there is again all the story behind, and it's really fascinating. And here, yes.
Jinka Sanimare, a great artist from London, and one of his wonderful exhibitions in Camden Art Centre. He was kind enough to invite me to photograph as he was just in the gallery with his artwork. I admire this artist because he not only is a great artist, but he's the voice of a new generation of very critically engaged artists in relation with the history, the past, the present, and the future of UK. And
I have to interrupt here because I think the most beautiful thing is how you talk. And you say humbly, you invited me so kindly. You're incredible. You're so kind and humble. This is, I think, the most beautiful part of all.
but
It's how you are here now with us. That you are so with all your story behind, and that's really the most beautiful part, I think.
thank you to mention that aspect. But
Which is a very important. It's
It's-
not a small part, but it's a very
Yes.
important in the art
yes,
nowadays.
we need to understand. I'm kind of an outsider to the British culture, and I was welcoming through invitations to collaborate, to participate, to document, and the humbleness evolved because they were humble with me too.
And that's
They-
beautiful.
they
That's
were-
very important to say because sometimes the art world there are some prima donnas everywhere in every world, But I think it's very important to be yourself, always, whatever life takes you.
Yes.
And it's beautiful. I have to say, it's touching.
I completely agree with you. We know that is part of our world, and but in London, the people I met, the people who have made the cultural, kind of voice, which they are not only those ones, there are many.
There is one after more beautiful and more incredible than the other.
For example, this one, that is the exhibition of the centenary exhibition of the Whitechapel Art Gallery. They called me under a commission to document the setting up of the exhibition. And the work you see here, it is Anthony Gombley, Blood on Earth, or Earth on Blood, no, Blood on Earth. And that is at the time they completed the work, the drawing. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we were just coming from Galleria San Gimignano, Galleria Continua, doing, seeing different installation of this great artist. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Anthony Gombley, it is a really breathtaking. Kind of a scientist of how we hold space within our body.
And the continuity.
And the continuity, and the expansion of it. Which we could see in this drawing. He's a great thinker and a great artist, no doubt. That's why I love this one. That is 1995, 1996. It's Glenn Brown in his studio. He's a wonderful painter, which is very established. And at the time he was producing these paintings, and he just invited me to do, just spend time with him in his studio. The interesting thing when I'm in the studios, it wasn't about just taking a photograph. We talk. We talk about art, we talk about how we relate with certain aspects of the creativity, but also it was moments of silence. I mean, a studio is a place of contemplation, creation, and also doubts. And sometimes, asserting moments. So my attitude of being with them, it was sharing that complexity of being an artist. And they understood that. Because in many ways, what you see in this photograph is my movement in the space. It's not only just making photograph, it's my movement through space and time, different times.
But would they say that? It's like a dance. In any case, one picture and shots that you took from one, it's like a dance. And how you choreographically put it and display it, it's beautiful.
It's very interesting because she is spot on, I should say, because it is a dance. It is a dance that follows my training as a dancer, as I was also trained as an artist in Barcelona. So I was a dancer for many years. So I was a performance artist. That's why my work is so performative. It's not just about...
You can feel it. You can feel it. Really.
Yeah.
It's because the way you display it, the way that they are taken, it's really, again, popping as before with the same message of the gallery, that you are amazed of each work of art is with you. It's really incredible. You can feel it. You can feel it. Your passion, first of all, your passion of the entire gallery.
It was a very passionate. Well, it was. When you enter in contact with a new culture, you need to, in many ways, create a new step or a new dance. And the dance is the giving and taking of creative responses that people offers you and you offers to them.
But then again, it's something that we will all relate because we are living in different countries. We have to accept. But something very interesting that you said, you have to leave your country. So again, this nostalgic momento that always will be with you. But again, yet again, you have to open and and you are enthusiastic of whatever happens, and even more grateful.
I will agree. Yes. I mean, we are always grateful to be able to move through cultures and to be able to engage with cultures. The key thing is how we do engage with them. Or do we engage in a passive manner, or we engage as an active manner, or we engage in both manners? I mean, obviously I had to do both. I had to learn on one hand, on the other hand to engage, on the other hand to create. And nowadays, the creation, it is the reflection of our relationship at the time with a generation of artists, critics, architects, which have built in those steps in our choreography, which are steps, creative steps, these fantastic archival photographs, photographs. You want to see?
Yes, we will go here. It's so fascinating, and we could stay forever. I think
it is. What happens? It is truly wonderful. I will leave that just in this corner. How things evolve with my camera, I should be very direct and clear. Architects, they were the first ones to really see the potential of this way of seeing and the way the camera was depicting the space. Architects like Tony Fretton, which is one of the architects built the Leeson Gallery, and also many other fantastic London spaces to private collectors and also public buildings. And he took me under his wing, and with the RSA, which is the Royal Society of Architecture, we were commissioned to develop the face house in which the architect and the artist, they come together to create a force of creation, a creativity in which the visual and the architectonic, they become into a dialogue, and that is the result.
With nature, yes.
Yes. And my proposal was to introduce in the face house nature into the roof of the lobby. And that it was a wonderful body of work which I learned from Tony, how to make something, a photograph, into a physical realm, into a physical thing which goes into architecture. That is the first exhibition I did with the School of Architects in Britain, in London, and they exhibited the Royal Festival Hall. First photographs I did with my customized camera, which is this one. That is the School of Architects from Barcelona, which they also commissioned me. And that are the drawings I was used to do in 1993, 1994, conceptual approaches of how to transform the camera. So the process, it was quite interesting. I mean, it just didn't happen by chance. It was a series of steps. That is my first writings. That is a very wonderful writing, which is in the catalog for this exhibition, by Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson is the director. It was used to be the former director of the Tate Modern on archival and photography.
Here you are. Here.
Here it is a series of photographs by John Kidd that he took of me and Gary Hume, Sarah Lucas, and also we have Angus Fergus. So it is a series of them, of artists from goldsmiths, and obviously great conceptualists as Angus Fergus, someone I highly respect, and someone I really love the work is Sarah Lucas. Sarah Lucas, it speaks to me, her work. And Gary Hume is also extraordinary painter, which you can see in one of his first exhibitions at the Whitechapel Gallery.
And here, incredible. And then here, what we have here.
That is Alex Landrum. It is another artist that he, at the time, 1996, he was in Carlton Road, and he invited me to photograph. The interesting thing about this photograph is it shows how the photograph was moving inside the film, inside the camera, and on the surface of the film. It was the way around. The first photograph, the second, the third, and that is the fourth, actually. So what you see here is the succession of four images coming together to create a narrative, a visual narrative of the artist in his studio, his work, and depict that light, the light that joins different aspects of the painting and the thought process of the artist and our meeting at the time.
It's incredible. Really, really inspiring because it's history.
Yes.
Again,
Yes.
it's bringing back all these memories.
Yes, indeed. In a time where we are in Brexit,
Yes.
and in a time in which Barcelona have decided through the Gallery of Pigment and Ferrari Josa to for first time to exhibit properly only 29 images out of 1,000 and to bring it back to the city which I depart when I was a young man.
Very symbolic.
Very symbolic, yes.
Bellissimo.
Yes.
I really, it's again because I know you are so many people are coming
Yes.
to meet you, so we're going to go very quickly to the last part, which
Okay.
is again beautiful.
That is a very beautiful moment in the process because it's in 1999 and it's the Royal Opera House. Anthony Dowell, the director of the Royal Ballet, which I met with my camera. I went and talked to him.
Were you doing a little?
They were doing all the dance. No, they were top dancers. I was just, just a break dancer. Yeah. But Anthony Dowell, really, director of the Royal Ballet, Anthony Dowell, during rehearsal,
One of my favorite.
Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, 1999. He was a fantastic man. He asked me, "What is your vision? What do you want from us?" I said, "I'm doing this way of seeing, and I think it would be interesting to engage with your choreographies, with the new development of the space. They were transforming the Royal Opera House at the time with Dixon, the architect. It was Jeremy Dixon, and he is the one who invited me. Anthony Dowell said, "Yes, you are welcome. I love your way of seeing and the way you want to depict us. So yes, you are welcome." And he invited me a year to document rehearsal on the stage. It's a model, yes.
It's a movement.
It's a movement. That is a very painterly because he gave me the chance to just feel at home, to feel around the dancers, to be with them. He is a very passionate man and a dancer, and we share moments of great, it's part of us. Yeah.
And again, I think every picture, every work that you made brings back all your passion and all this of the people that were part of your passion.
Exactly.
And I think it's a really
and
beautiful.
The people who did make London at the time, the people who brought the sensibility into the different artistic disciplines which transgressed Britain. It became to Europe. It is a global manifestation of Britain, cultural values and sensibility of Britain. Yeah, that, and we can finish maybe if you think it's the time. It is a series of photographs on architecture based on the architecture of the Parliament House by Enrique Miralles and Benedetta Tagliabue. They are a great Italian, of course, Catalan artists,
Yes.
Architects. And Benedetta asked me to do a commission on the Scottish Parliament House, and that it was maybe 1990 or 2001. And she said, "I don't want a photograph, I want an artwork." And so I flew over there from London to Edinburgh, and I did, I went into the Parliament House. And the interesting thing about this photograph is Enrique Miralles designed the sky lights as the bow of the ships cutting through the sea from the Mediterranean to the North Sea. And what I did is to shift a little bit, to give a little bit more movement to that main hall of the Parliament House, to emphasize the ships and cultural connections between the Mediterranean, North Catalan Mediterranean to the north of Scotland. Because he was engaged there. Part of his architectural development takes place in Scotland as a young man. And then, well, Benedetta Taglaboe developed the whole project with his team of architects here in Barcelona. Because as you know, the history, he left before the completion of this building. But it's an honor to have in the collection the Scottish Parliament House by asking me, Benedetta, to produce an artwork for their own private collection.
Fantastic. Diego, what to say more? What to say more? It's really an absolute pleasure to have met you and to hear and to listen to all your stories. It's un'enciclopedia della vita, una passione that will bring a little bit of your passion inside our soul today.
That's great. I'm very pleased. That is kind of, it's kind of giving you a flavor, and also we could share this moment through passion, through vision, and through new developments. Just for you to know, there is a catalog. You need to ask if you can take one, because there are wonderful writings there by Andrew Wilson, for example.
Fantastic. I can't wait. Grazie Diego. Thank you for all your time and for your incredible kindness.
Un piacere, un piacere.
Grazie.
Grazie, grazie mille.